Of course. Here is your script paraphrased with slight changes to word order and phrasing, maintaining your original tone and style. Sometimes, when life offers a new opportunity, it's good to take it. And when this lifetime takes something from you, you need to learn to let go. There are consequences you pay for constantly seeking comfort and avoiding discomfort, for avoiding hard work. Those consequences are you'll never feel self-realized. You'll never feel like you accomplished anything. You'll never have this feeling of understanding that difficulty and struggle, the ability to push through it, is a muscle. And you develop that muscle by doing it. Once you do, you develop a lot of self-satisfaction and you develop peace of mind, and you understand that you can overcome obstacles. If you never have to overcome obstacles, you never know whether or not you can. Oh man, the harder this gets, the greater the reward is going to be on the other side once you get through it. Resistance is going to come if you have any ambition. If life's just nothing but green lights, if you have no yellows and reds, no reasons to pause or crises to stop you, that's not reality. Resistance comes. But how do we evolve? By meeting resistance. It's very hard. If it wasn't, everybody would be successful. The last thing you want to do is quit every single time you start feeling like it's not for you. Every single person that's ever built anything great, that's ever become someone you look up to, has gone through that phase of it not being for them. And they pushed through that, and pushed through that, and pushed through that till they created the result they were after. It's so easy to be great nowadays, my friend, because most people are weak. Most people don't want to go that extra mile. Most people don't want to find that extra because it sucks. It's miserable. It is lonely. You talk about being lonely by yourself. I was the same way. You can feel something is shifting. Some people are not strong enough to adapt to the change. Some people don't know how to put it into practice in order to go with the change. A time will come, and it's not going to take long, where a natural separation will take place. The ones who are able to read the signs, who are able to go with what is happening, to adapt to the changes this world is bringing to us, they will move on to another world. Others who are unwilling, unable, maybe incapable of adapting to the coming changes, it is simple like this, they will stay with the old world, which is about to end. Yeah, the undisputed first law of personal growth is this: people will never rise above the opinion they have of themselves. You see, when we're able to start addressing things like our unconscious programming, when we start to create the best habits we can by programming ourselves consciously, when we start grabbing that compass needle and bringing it over to the right direction so that the 95% of the time we're sleepwalking, we're able to be who we need to be, that's when we can start to achieve the real game in town, which is self-mastery. See, before you spend another penny on workshops or skills or anything, work on yourself. Mastering the game of self, throughout human history, has been the #1 recommendation of virtually everybody that achieved it and then preached the benefits of it to people who usually weren't listening. But by mastering our sense of self, we're able to walk into a room where everything's descending into chaos and retain our center. When everything's breaking down around us, we become the eye of the storm. Move, I'll handle it. See, that's the best way you'll be able to handle uncertainty. And when we commit to self-mastery, we give ourselves the best shot of becoming the best and greatest versions of ourselves that we can be. What matters is positive action. Positive action means get going, get busy, take action, do something. Everything we ever learn is merely a prelude to action. And the more action you take, the faster you move, the more ground you cover, the more energy you have. The faster you move, the more positive you are. The faster you move, the more people you see. The faster you move, the more you learn. The faster you move, the more successful you are. You don't find any successful slow people. All successful people are fast-moving. In fact, a sense of urgency is sometimes the critical quality that can make all the difference in your success. If you see a good thing to do, move quickly. Move now. Go. It's not easy. It can be tremendously difficult. It's easier to quit. It's easier to succumb. It's easier to give in. But to go forward, that's tremendously difficult. You have to be bold to do that, to say, no, this is not where I'm going to be. Because this life is not here to make you suffer. This life is here to make you understand your potential. Maybe there is something bigger you can become. In this lifetime, there's something else for you to achieve. This also means discover your potential. But if you are stuck on, no, this is what I want. I worked so hard for it, now it's failing. I tried it again, it can mean you are just wasting a lifetime. That can happen. Music. 1 year from today, you are either going to be thanking yourself or kicking yourself. 1 year from today, you are either going to be saying, thank God I spent my time doing that, or, I wish I spent my time doing that. 1 year from today, you are either going to thank yourself for working hard, staying disciplined, being consistent, eliminating bad habits, and adopting good habits, or you're going to be kicking yourself for spending another year doing nothing. Another year not chasing your goals, another year not being who you know you can be. Another year wasted. So, what's it going to be 1 year from today? Are you going to thank yourself for choosing the path that so few choose to go down? The path of discipline, the path of consistency, the path of most resistance. Or are you going to go down the path you've gone down every other year, the path of mediocrity? When you decide to level up, don't expect applause. The truth is, your growth will make some people uncomfortable. Not because you've changed, but because they haven't. People fear what challenges their own comfort. So, let them question it. Let them doubt it. Your path isn't meant to make sense to anyone else but you. The hardest part of becoming uncommon isn't the work. It's outgrowing people who choose to settle. So, keep going. You don't need permission to live the life you deserve. Doing what you said you were going to do. That's all that matters in life. If you do what you say you're going to do, your self-image increases. When you do what you say you're going to do, you will be happier. You will be healthier. You will be harder to kill. When you do what your contract says, when you sign on the dotted line, you show up early, you do your hard work, you do what needs to be done, you're going to get pats on the back, you're going to get positive reinforcement. You're going to get smiles instead of smirks. And quite frankly, these days, boys and girls, there are so many people who are not willing to do what they said they were going to do that it's actually easier to be successful these days than it was 50 years ago. The level of work ethic has continued to go down and down and down. So use that as an opportunity to be the person who stands out. If tomorrow was not a guarantee, how far would you push? If you thought today was your last opportunity to ever do the thing, how far would you go? If today was the last day you were ever going to work out, to ever be able to train for a certain event, how far would you push? How far would you go? How fast would you run? How much would you sacrifice, knowing you're never going to lace it up again? How hard would I hit? Like, how hard would I go? What does 100% look like? A lot of people never touch it. They never understand their full capability, their full threshold, because they never reach it. They've never sat down, connected mind and body, and gone, what is absolutely everything? I feel like I did it for a long time. I'd save it for tomorrow. I'd save it for the next time. I'm going to save a little in the tank. What if you never have an opportunity to use anything in that tank ever again? What if today's the last time you're ever going to do it? It's your dream. It don't belong to nobody else. You take ownership of it. It ain't nobody else's. Don't nobody owe you nothing. Ain't nobody supposed to give you nothing. It's yours. Music. If you turned on the news to see that an asteroid would wipe out Earth in 12 hours and there was nothing you could do about it, what would you do? Of course, it would be reasonable to panic at first. But after some time, would you continue to be in denial, running around frantically, searching for a solution that simply didn't exist? Or would you accept it, break out a chair, head to a spot with a nice view, play your favorite song, and watch it all unfold? Acceptance is a beautiful thing, you know. It allows you to see the beauty in things, even amid the chaos. Many of us spend our days in distress, worrying about what is simply out of our control. We carry the weight of the world on our back, anxious, almost in a state of paranoia, and it is taking away our ability to truly enjoy life. When really, whether you worry or not, the outcome is not affected. So you might as well find a sense of comfort in the fact that whatever your asteroid is, it is beyond your reach. And it's funny, when you do that, it allows you to actually focus on the things that are your health, your profession, your passions. We so easily lose sight of these things when what's out there is weighing on our mind. We cannot have that, because our vision, our goals and aspirations, our family, our future wife or husband and children and the generations to come after them are affected by the decisions we make today. Therefore, it is essential that we are able to accept what is beyond our reach and bring our focus and attention to what is. Enjoy this experience, my friend. Do away with the mental burden. I'll even smile when it all goes wrong. How you handle that dark forest, how you handle that dark moment, determines everything. And you want to know the people that go from good to great to unstoppable. They didn't run from that dark moment. They don't think about that dark moment as they get older, but they never forget. And when you never forget, that internal fire never goes out. It never goes out. The Stoic philosopher is the man who has liberated himself from fear. He's not afraid of death. He's not afraid of pain. He's not afraid of other people's dismissal as a fool. The only thing he cares about is that he should meet his moral obligations. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said that greatness is the perception that virtue is enough. Which is an elegant and beautiful line, because all of the Stoics basically believe that virtue, moral virtue, an organized soul which pursues rationally the ends which are good for all human beings, is finally where they understand their greatness consists. They perceive that virtue is enough. We do not need wealth. We do not need life itself. If moral virtue tells us that we must die in the pursuit of some good end, the protection of our family, the protection of our home, the protection of the innocent, in the doing of right, nothing should be spared, not even our lives. You said I was ready. Ready for what? To face yourself. I've done that already. You've only glanced at the reflection. Never stepped through the mirror and what's on the other side. Everything you've buried, waiting to be seen. What if I don't like what I find? You won't. But that does not change its existence. I'm afraid. Okay. I know fear has shaped you, chained you, defined you, but it is not your prison. What else would it be? A key. You're much better than you think you are. And you need to remember that most of the doubt and most of the things you struggle with were installed in you by people around you who have already given up on what their life could have been. And they want you to do so as well, because it makes them feel more comfortable about their mediocre existence. You don't really have limits. You have what you have been told your limits are, and you have chosen to believe that those are your limits. And that's why you have this problem going for the things you really want, and instead going for the things that are more realistic. If you want the future to change for you, you've got to change. If you don't change, the next 6 years of your life are going to be just like the last 6. You'll still be behind on your bills. You'll still be behind on your promises. If you will change, everything will change for you. If you will get better, everything will get better for you. If you'll change your philosophy, if you'll change your habits, if you'll refine your thinking, if you'll change and accept some new disciplines, if you'll turn the corner from where you've been in the past, go for a new life in the future, all kinds of remarkable things will happen for you if you will change. I didn't fail, I fell. And as long as I get up, I win. The man who never fell has no glory. The man who fell and got back up. That's where his glory is. Failure is part of the formula for success. So you learn, you make mistakes, you get better, you make more advanced mistakes. As long as you get up, you win. The winning is in getting up. So many people think they failed. They didn't fail. They stopped. You stopped. The man who fell 20 times and got up 21 times, that man has even greater glory. Wow! That man has more courage. Way more courage than the guy who was so strong from birth that he never failed. There's no glory in that. Fail as much as humanly possible. Don't be afraid of failing because there's nothing wrong with failing. You have to fail in order to climb that ladder. You're going to die never even trying to reach your full potential. And how's that going to feel? If you wrote a book right now about your life and you gave it to someone, would it change their life for the better? If not, you've got to get to work. Well, what if I experience failure? Well, what if you experience fortune? And I want you to think about that, because fear of failure and laughter and stumbling and things not working out often causes us not even to take the first step that creates the momentum. And as you know, small daily, seemingly insignificant steps over time, when done consistently, lead to stunning results. Music. And so often we won't take the first step because we're afraid of failure. What if I fail? Well, I'm suggesting to you, what if you win? Emotions are powerful. Sometimes it doesn't take much to alter your whole life direction. Number 1, disgust. Powerful emotion. Disgust says, I have had it. See, that could be the day. The day you can say, I've had it. And whether you've had it with something small or something major, the day you can say, I've had it, may not be the day it ends, but the day it begins. A powerful day. You need to go to war with the demons inside your head. Go to war with that little voice inside your head that tells you that you'll never be anything, that you're not good enough. The voice in your head that wants you to be lazy, that wants you to be scared, that wants you to worry about what other people might think or what other people might say. The one that tells you, oh, you're just going to do this tomorrow. The one that says, today you can do whatever feels good, but tomorrow I'm going to be a changed man. That is not a voice to negotiate with. That is not a voice to be influenced by. That is a voice you declare war on. That voice does not deserve a seat at the table. If you do what it says, that voice will get louder and louder until it takes control. But if you do the opposite of what it says, it will get quieter and quieter until you don't hear it at all. The worst feeling in the world is to be facing death and to think, damn it, I've wasted my life. And I want people out there to realize that if you're in your 20s and your 30s, you don't want to reach that point. You don't want to waste your time and become 55, 58, have a stroke, face death, and what have you done? Nothing. You've moved from job to job. You tried this, you tried that with half the energy. You really have nothing to look back on. That's the worst feeling. It's not what you do, it's who you are. It's not what's going to get you there, it's what's going to keep you there. Do what's right, not what's easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you do, it's who you are. Right? It's not what got you there. It's what's going to keep you there. Do what's right, not what's easy. Music. Do you know that the lotus, one of the most beautiful flowers, grows in a swamp? We've all heard of post-traumatic stress, right? But there's also a phenomenon known as post-traumatic growth. And so often it is our most difficult experiences that put us in a crucible that transform us. I have grown the most from my most painful times. When I'm going through them, I'm not going to tell you that I enjoy them. But you want to allow pain to serve you. What happened to you, the pain, the hurt, the struggle, it didn't make you better. You made you better. The struggle didn't make you who you are. It's because of who you are that you were able to turn a struggle into opportunity. You chose growth over pain, to build character instead of walls, to expand your heart instead of hardening to the world. You kept loving, kept trusting. You chose resilience and vulnerability when it would have been a hell of a lot easier to shut down and shut it all out. You chose to remain kind and soft in the face of cruelty. The exact same cruelty that could have turned you into someone that you're not. Then with that, let's give credit where credit's due. That's all you. You're stuck and unsure about what to do with your life. Stop overcomplicating it. Money, titles, and approval from others are the wages of being a person of value. Ask yourself one question: what problem do I care about solving? Because here's the truth. Money follows value, and value comes from solving real problems. So find something that bothers you, something you can stop thinking about, and go all in on solving that. That's where fulfillment, success, and meaning are found. If you don't learn this and keep wandering aimlessly, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. So when you love yourself, you do better work. You eat better. When you love yourself, you install the habits of mastery. When you love yourself, you treat people with civility and politeness. When you love yourself, you don't give up on your mighty mission. When you love yourself, you celebrate your ambitions. When you love yourself, you walk your talk and you speak with your voice and you trust your innovation and you honor your creativity. Self-love is a huge generating force of world class. The path of personal development is befriending uncertainty. Almost all decisions that you make in the beginning you have incomplete data, and you have to make decisions anyways. And so it's growing comfortable with taking your best bad guess and being directionally correct, rather than searching for a perfect answer, because a perfect answer assumes perfect information, which you can only have after you begin. And so in some ways, making a decision is the perfect answer so that you can get the information to then improve the quality of the decision later. And I think that one loop is what a lot of people miss out on. They obsess for years sometimes on the perfect pick, the perfect business, the perfect job, the perfect mate. When most of the time, beginning each step eliminates the next step, which means the information, the feedback you get from walking gives you more about where to walk than trying to sit at the beginning in the darkness and pick a direction. Impossible music is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in a world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration. It's a dare. So, I know why you go on Instagram. I know why. 'Cause you just have the time. You have the time because you don't want to put that time into bettering oneself. You start going after your goals and you start achieving them. People will start looking at you differently, and secretly they will start hoping that you fail because it will make them feel better about the action they have never taken. Progression is an ugly road that leads to a beautiful place. And the sad thing about that quote, that's true, is most people never get to that beautiful place because they never persevere. They give up before it's their time. They quit before they see their breakthrough. That's why I love a breaking point. Because at a breaking point, that fork in the road, you got a choice. You can break down or you can break through. And when you choose to break through, all that adversity strengthens you. All those things that have come against you, it strengthens you. That's why you got to find a meaning, a mission that carries you through this stage of resistance. Get started and stay consistent. You have things to share with the world that only you can deliver. But you'll never experience them if all you replay in your mind are doubts and excuses on why going after your dreams now isn't a good time. You have what it takes. Get out of your own way. Don't count yourself out yet. Everything you want to achieve is possible. It might take time, effort, and discipline, but it's all within reach. So if you're in the woods and you don't know where to go, start walking. You've got to start walking because the perspective is not going to change. You have to start moving forward. You have to start taking steps in order to improve your vision, improve your perspective, change your perspective, make some kind of progress. And worst case scenario, you figure out that you walked the wrong direction. Okay, now you can walk in the other direction, and that's going to be fine. But standing there lost and not doing anything is just waiting to die, waiting to starve to death. The only thing in life that stands between you and everything you've ever wanted to do is doing it. Not preparing to do it, not scheduling time to do it, not telling people you're going to do it, not reading books about how to do it, not watching videos about how to do it, but instead actually doing it. There's a saying, a quote that I really believe in, that when the pain of the current reality becomes greater than the fear of change, that's when we change. So like, when the pain becomes so intense that it's greater than the fear you have of the unknown, then you'll go into the unknown. You can stand there at the door looking at this abyss, but when it becomes so painful that you walk into that, that's when the change happens. But there's a hell of a lot more to you than you think. Like, way more. Enough to cope with the trouble of the world inside you. There's enough to cope with the trouble of the world. And you, if you had enough courage, you could let that out. With enough courage and faith, you could let that out, and everything would be better because of it. People only fail because they get caught up in what winning was. You're supposed to fail at some point in time. You're supposed to get knocked down a couple times. You're supposed to lose. That's how you learn. Perfection is only a word because imperfection was discovered. You can't be perfect without knowing what imperfect is. You have to experience imperfection at some point to go, now I'm perfect. Feel something is shifting. Some people are not strong enough to adapt to the change. Some people don't know how to put it into practice in order to go with the change. A time will come, and it's not going to take long, where a natural separation is going to take place. A natural separation. The ones who are able to read the signs, who are able to go with what is happening, to adapt to the changes this world is bringing to us, they will move on to another world. Other people who are unwilling, unable, maybe incapable of adapting to the coming changes. It is simple like this. They will stay with the old world, which is about to end. An eagle flies at a certain altitude, and the only other bird that flies at that altitude is another eagle. So if he finds himself flocking with pigeons, he may be flying too low. One of the things limiting you from your income, your impact, a world-class life, you care too much about what people think about you. You can be world-class. You can fit in with the world. You don't get to do both. One thing I've learned is everyone has an opinion. Why let the opinions of other people deny you from a life that will make history? Here's my question to you. When are you going to free yourself? How long are you going to stay in this pain expecting change to happen in your life? How long are you going to stay in this situation expecting things to change in your life? You've been here for the last year, the last 5 years, the last decade staying in the same mess, accepting the same mess, and wonder why you're stressed. Wonder why you're not happy. Wondering why you're not fulfilled. Wondering why you're not experiencing the life that you deserve to experience. When are you going to free yourself from the pain? When are you going to free yourself from settling for less? Because I want to tell you right now, you don't have to accept it. I know you know that, but I need you to feel that. Understand that you don't got to accept it. You don't have to stay where you're just tolerated and not celebrated. You don't have to stay where you're not happy. You don't have to stay where you're not being better. You don't have to stay where you're suffering. You can free yourself from it. They say that you only live once, but that's wrong. You die once and you live every day. Music. So live every day and make it count. Just remember you're not behind. You're just on a different path. The path less traveled. And sometimes you look around and you're like, where the hell is everyone? Am I lost? Am I crazy? No, you're not. You're right where you need to be. And it's a little scary, but it's also kind of fun. And I just want to say welcome. There's a lot of us out here. One of the greatest success principles of all time is called the law of accumulation. This law says that everything great and worthwhile in human life is an accumulation of hundreds and sometimes thousands of tiny efforts and sacrifices that nobody ever sees or appreciates. Now, here's the key to the law of accumulation. This law says that everything counts. Everything that you do counts. The biggest mistake people make is they think that only what they want counts. No. When you read a book, when you listen to an audio program, when you go to a course, when you go to bed early and get up early and you work, it all counts. And it's all going on the plus side of your ledger. You must assume that you already are what you want to be, and then live by faith in this assumption. You don't need evidence of your senses. You have a tendency to believe that what your eyes and ears tell you is reality. But this is what we know by our senses. You know, it's like a millionth of a millimeter. And all that is unknown is in the invisible, in the imagination. You'll see it when you believe it, not the other way around. People will say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. It doesn't work that way. You'll see it when inside you have a knowing. Most of our attention is focused on, this is my beliefs and my disbeliefs about what is possible, what isn't possible, are here. And it's an endless universe. Most people don't focus on their mindset. Most people are focused on exterior factors. They think that everything that happens to them is by chance, and they don't realize that a lot of the things that happen to them are things that they attract, because you attract the things that you are, and you are what you do, and you do what you think about. So it's all a cyclical loop. Most people don't understand the power of the mind. That's why they haven't tapped into the power of the mind. And the power of the mind is one very simple thing, the ability to direct your attention towards a specific given objective and then to have the willpower to pursue it. I've learned that so much of the anxiety that holds us back in life, it's self-inflicted. We make it worse on ourselves. These scars, they're not just a reminder of everything I've been through, but more so everything that's in front of me. They stare me in my face, challenging me to be myself. But I bet you've got some scars. And my hope for you is this. Look at them. Own them. They're the best reminder you'll ever have that there's a whole world out there and we've got a whole lot of living left to do. What if I told you the secret to a fulfilled life lies at the intersection of 4 simple questions? The Japanese call it ikigai. It's where 4 things meet. What you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. When these align, you've found your ikigai. If you're looking to discover higher purpose in life, first answer these 4 components. To the people who are listening who, who feel like they can't change the circumstances with the way they think or they feel, just hold on. Just endure. Look at things differently. Challenge yourself to look at things as the glass half full. Challenge yourself to think 4 steps ahead. We all share the same space striving for a better life. Seeing as the tree that grows closer to the sun or the salmon that swims upstream to spawn, we are all striving for a better life, to be the best that we can be. Not only for ourselves, but for those we love. Because at the root of it all, that's all that we do it for, love. And without it, nothing really matters. Taking risks with the intention to build yourself up is the best thing you can do. When you're so eager to live the life you want, there is nothing that can stand in the way of you achieving that. A powerful quote that I've read, you should make decisions based upon your future self, and not make decisions which your current self already manifests. So if you are in a tough situation, good. You're learning, developing, and building the characteristics that you will need for future challenges. Never apologize for being who you want to become. Remember, keep taking risks and decisions that the 2.0 version of yourself would do, and see your current reality fall into pieces and chaos, knowing deep down there's something waiting for you. You try to drive into the future using a rear-view mirror to guide yourself. I got news for you. You're going to crash. You have to be able to look forward and create what you want. Even if you've never been able to do it before, you just tried it and it didn't work. This moment is new. Something about you is new. You made a new distinction. Something you may be unaware of. Maybe the environment's changed. Maybe you just need to change your approach. But you've got to believe that you can, because the only reason to say you can't is you think you've tried everything, which is a lie, or you believe that it just has never worked before. The past does not equal the future unless you live there. If you live in the past, then I guarantee your future will be the same way. You cannot be humble if you do not know your power. If you do not know your power, you're not humble. You're just afraid. The only person that can be truly humble is the person that knows their strength and knows their power and chooses it to serve. Chooses to empower, not overpower. Music. I know things have been difficult lately, and I'm sorry about that. I think I know what you're feeling. You've been living with so many unresolved things. Well, take it from an old man. Those things send us down the road. They make us who we are. And if anyone's destined for greatness, it's you, son. You owe the world your gifts. You just have to figure out how to use them, and know that wherever they take you, we'll always be here. Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dumb submission. Be on the watch. There are ways out. There is light somewhere. It may not be much light, but it beats the darkness. Be on the watch. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life sometimes. And the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. You are marvelous. Your conscience, that person inside, is telling you, we got to do better than this. That version of yourself that's banging and scraping to get out. We got to do better than this. Why have we settled for mediocrity? Don't you remember that child within? Don't you remember that dreamer? Don't you remember that person who was building spaceships out of cardboard boxes? Don't you remember? I'm dying to get out. Please let me out. I'm suffocating and soon I'm going to die forever. Consistency is not your problem. The reason you cannot make any progress in reaching that goal is because you have a lack of belief that you will succeed in whatever it is you are after. If someone told you that if you do this, and this each and every day, you will achieve your dreams in 1 year, and it was 100% guaranteed and you fully believed in that, you wouldn't for a second hesitate to do those things. You would show up every single day regardless of how you feel, because you know that you will win in the end. But there is a voice in your head that tells you might not pull this off. You very may well put in all of this effort and endure all of this struggle just to fall short. And in fact, 99% of people don't succeed. So, who are you to think that you will? You must know where this voice stems from. This voice is evil's attempt at manipulating and deceiving you. To lose faith in the power that you possess, to lose sight of what you are truly capable of. But you cannot fail. When people say, I fear the unknown, I'm like, no, because if it's unknown, you can't fear it. What people fear is what their brain is automatically projecting into the unknown. So they're fearing the imagination, which is usually a reflection of their history that they have accepted, which is now that avoidant energy. Past hurt informs future fear. You're not scared of the unknown. You're scared of what your brain is thinking might happen. Begin to train yourself to be aware of what you're thinking. And one of the ways to do that is to periodically say to yourself, what am I thinking? Would I like this thought to create my life? Would I like to have the experience that this thought could bring to me? Now, it takes a while to do that, but even if we could begin on the smallest level to be aware of our thinking, we can start to make change. I feel like a big reason why a lot of people don't learn how to forgive others nowadays is because they never forgive themselves for past mistakes. If you don't know how to forgive yourself, how are you ever going to forgive somebody else? It's just not going to work. And I think giving yourself that grace and compassion to understand that, you did the best you could when you were there, and that's not you anymore. So now that you know better, do better. The last 6,000 years reads like this, opportunity mixed with difficulty. That's how it reads. It isn't going to change. The man says, well, if it isn't going to change, how will my life ever change? Answer, when you change. The only way it gets better for you is when you get better. If you could live forever, would you? My outlook on this is, if you buy a bouquet of flowers and hand them to your loved one, and the flowers are made of plastic, how would your loved one reply to that? They'd probably think you don't love them. But you said, but darling, they'll last forever. The fact that flowers die is the very reason why they have meaning as a gift. You're handed flowers. They're going to be dead in 7 days. That means, you better pay attention to them. You're going to smell them. You're going to take care of them, and you're going to put them in a central place so that not only you see them, but so does everybody else. You're going to celebrate those flowers. My knowledge that I'm going to die gives not only meaning to my being alive, it gives urgency to it. To get anything of value, you have to sacrifice. Do you know that the harder thing to do and the right thing to do are usually the same thing? Easy doesn't enter into growing your life. Now, you're going to be disappointed. Let me put this in here. When this doesn't work out just as you've planned, you're going to be disappointed. But here's what you must learn to do as a leader. Learn to discipline your disappointment. Be disappointed. But don't let it kick you. You've just got to understand sometimes the seed falls on shallow ground. And it didn't say what to do about the shallow ground. It just said that's the way it is. Because you're sad now, you're going to make a bunch of bad decisions cause you're sad. No. No. It doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. You're sad. Okay. You get emotional sometimes. Okay. Got it. Now get control of your emotions and carry on with your life. And sometimes you're going to get hit with those waves, and that's okay. I'm having an emotional moment right now. There's something wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. The other extreme is, oh, I'm letting my emotions run my life and I'm making a bunch of bad decisions, and my excuse is, well, you know, I lost some friends or I had this traumatic experience happen to me. That's why I'm doing, that's just an excuse, and it's a very easy excuse, and you can't act like that. Your expectations define your happiness more than your circumstances. If you only wish to be happy, this could be easily accomplished. But we wish to be happier than other people, and this is always difficult, for we believe others are happier than they are. Because only doing the thing is doing the thing. When I say do, don't think, I don't mean you shouldn't think at all. I mean, of course some thought is necessary, but don't let that thinking turn into overthinking. It's so easy to get caught up in planning and worrying that you never actually take the first step. It might not go as planned, and you may even mess it up. But that's part of the process. You try, you mess it up, you reassess, and then you go again. So, let's just start. Even if it feels messy, you've got this. You can go from failure to success, but you can't go from excuses to success. Just always exceed expectations. Do more than what anyone else would ever expect out of you. That's who we are. I think everything is about discipline. Everything is about discipline. And every day, like, you know, train, sleep, eat, repeat, it has to become your lifestyle. And everything here is mental, you know? Everything is about mental. You know, it's like when you become champion, what you feel like. And I said no. In my mind I was always champion. You are more powerful than you believe. If you are experiencing some sort of discomfort at the moment, whether that be stress, sadness, or uncertainty, I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, the power, the essence within you, your soul, will overcome this. You will prevail and rise above the unbearable state that you are currently in. And I understand that you may be asking, when? When will you be alleviated from this discomfort? But you must know that regardless of when, the hurt that you feel right now serves no other purpose than to strengthen you. So whether it is today or tomorrow, every single moment that you sit with this, you are growing, becoming a version of yourself that is stronger and wiser than ever before. There may also be a part of you that says it will never end, that you will never find the answer. But you must know, you always find the answer. I want you to imagine a bustling city undergoing a grand renovation. Streets that once thrummed with daily life are now cloaked in scaffolding and echo with the sounds of construction. Familiar landmarks fade into the midst of renovation. The city's pulse seems to falter as old paths are closed and the landscape shifts. Yet this tumultuous symphony of transformation is not mere noise. As the dust settles, the city will emerge not just altered but reborn. If you're thinking, what's this got to do with me? Then listen to this. In your journey of self-improvement, you might find that your personal renovation disrupts established routines and, most especially, relationships. When this happens, I want you to remember that city. It evolved to better serve its inhabitants, even if they didn't realize it. Your growth is reshaping your life to support new and improved opportunities. This isn't an anomaly. It's a natural consequence of your progress. Growth doesn't come from nowhere. It's not like you wake up one day and you're a new person. Growth is gradual, and the potential to be your greatest self has always existed inside of you. You're not suddenly a new person for going through change. You're just more evolved. What happens is that with time, you learn to embrace everything about you, and you start to show the world who you truly were all along. If you want the future to change for you, you've got to change. If you don't change, the next 6 years of your life are going to be just like the last 6. You'll still be behind on your bills. You'll still be behind on your promises. If you will change, everything will change for you. If you will get better, everything will get better for you. If you'll change your philosophy, if you'll change your habits, if you'll refine your thinking, if you'll change and accept some new disciplines, if you'll turn the corner from where you've been in the past, go for a new life for the future, all kinds of remarkable things will happen for you if you will change. The biggest mistake a person can do is give up. You might not reach the very best version of yourself in this lifetime, but a better one than you are right now. Remember, you won't get everything you want. Simply sometimes it hails on your crop and rains on your parade. It's that kind of planet. You must learn to handle the negative. Don't ignore it. Handle it. Thoughts aren't true. Feelings don't require actions. Things aren't good or bad. They just are. Our greatest enemy is ignorance. To change your life, change your surroundings. Our actions, not our pasts, define who we are. The willingness to be disliked is a superpower. If you develop the willingness to be disliked, you will inevitably have the courage to do the hard things that most people are not willing to do. This will then imbue your life with a sense of meaning and importance. It will also lead to success that others will be too intimidated to go after. But I would go even further than this. I would argue that until you're comfortable with the disapproval of others, you are not truly a free individual yourself. You must develop the ability to be disliked in order to free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions. Learn to do what's right even if others think it might be wrong. Learn to tolerate criticism and negative feedback because that's what will make you better. Learn to be laughed at, hated on, and trolled, because if you can become comfortable with the hate, you'll be unstoppable. It's like you. I was filled with anxiety, and I still am filled with anxiety to this day. But I think the right thing to do is not to run away from the anxiety, but to lean into it and channel it into pursuing, with everything you got, the things you're passionate about. And it may turn out in the end that your life will have unexpected chapters, but as long as you're chasing dreams and goals with absolute unwavering dedication, good stuff will come of it. We all get to choose. What heart are we going to have? Are we going to have the heart of creating and becoming and being a great example for everybody else? Honoring the people who came before us and setting a great example for the people coming after us? Or are we going to cruise? Or are we going to coast? Or are we just going to be another poor little me? Another person that dies with all the hopes and dreams and amazing ideas that could have helped people while you were here, who says at the end of their life, I could have. I should have. I wish I had. Or are you going to be the person that says at the end of their life, I did it. The greats do things when they don't always want to. And I think that's what separates good from great. Music. Master self-discipline. Become the person that, regardless of how you feel, you can consistently go through the motions. Be the person that you can count on. Do it because you said that you would, because it is what will get you closer to obtaining a legacy. Operate like a finely tuned, highly efficient machine, continuously making improvements through trial and error. Do this until the day comes that you can operate optimally without even having to think about it, without any effort, because you are just that good, that finely tuned. When you reach this level of performance, the rate at which you improve skyrockets exponentially, and you will be soaring past the achievements that you once believed to be impossible. But you have to get over this first hump. Think of this as life or death, because this is the difference between you continuing to be stuck in the cycle versus actually living the life that you dream of. Self-discovery is the path to self-mastery and true craftsmanship. Daily practice, something you do every single day to fire up those neurons, you understand. This will help you realize your edge, what makes you unique, and give you the confidence to not give a damn, because you know who you are. Because let me tell you something, you're going to get a lot of flowers. You're going to get a lot of praise, but you're going to get hate too. It's better to be hated for who you truly are than adored for who you truly aren't. No amount of external approval will make up for the inevitable lack of fulfillment that comes from trying to be someone that you're not. True love and connection require authenticity. Without it, there's only dishonest attachment. You should be viewing every single thing that happens in your life as a learning experience. Every good thing you do, every bad thing you do, the things you do to people, the things people do to you. Regardless of the situation, there is always something embedded in there that you can use to make you better. And if you do that, if you view every single interaction, every single situation that you encounter as a learning experience, you will never lose. Because most people are just coasting through life completely asleep at the wheel, not paying attention to anything that goes on, not looking for lessons, not trying to improve. And they view every single situation that they encounter as just what happens to them. And those people will always blame two things before they ever blame themselves. They will blame someone else or their circumstances. And if you can just skip those two and look for the thing that you could do better in every single situation, you will always win no matter what. All the worry, all the pressure and expectation that you're trying to live up to, where is it taking you? All the fake rules in your head that you're living by. What's the end goal? The imaginary milestones in your head are just that, imaginary. And think about it this way. You've already achieved goals that you once said would make you happy. So instead of predicating your happiness on these external achievements, become a person who is fully committed to working towards all the things that you want in life regardless of timeline, and most importantly, enjoying the process. Chances are, you're more likely to find the success that you want through the pursuit of happiness, rather than happiness through the pursuit of success. Remember that one. There's a price to pay for everything, and that includes inaction. That includes not doing anything. There's a consequence to pay for just sitting there in your thoughts, in your feelings, not running, not chasing after what you want, not going after your dreams. There's a consequence to listening to the opinions of people that don't even know what you have inside. There's a consequence. You better study the consequences of people before you that didn't act on the things they truly wanted to act on. There's a consequence. So, I weigh the consequences.